Every Friday, there was public executions in the football stadium. And I tried to film these executions and then decided I'll get an interview with the Taliban judge in charge of it. And he's called Qisas, Public Retributions. So we drove to his office and he wasn't there. And so going back to the hotel, the driver lights up a joint. And then the fixer's having a little smoke. He says, do you want one? Of course, what I didn't know, that Afghan hashish is 10 times stronger than anything you would have had in England growing up. So I had like one little puff and two puffs, and I'm looking at the nighttime stars in the Hindu Kush. I'm like, oh my God, I am stoned. It's so strong. Get back to this hotel, and the front desk guy is literally shaking. He goes, Mr. Sean, the judge in charge of Qisas is here to see you.
Can you tell the story that you started telling me last night about when you said you came closest to death, your closest call?
Yeah, so I think it's just probably one of the closest moments I've come to being killed. I mean, I've had a few, but so one day in Kabul, wanted to go to so they were notorious for public executions in the football stadium. There were so many myths and rumors about the Taliban at the time. Very little known was, had they banned kite flying, football. So they hadn't banned football, or soccer as you call it here, but they had banned cheering, it turned out, and all the football players had to have long shorts and beards. But every Friday, which is their weekend, there was public executions. There may be, so you wouldn't know if there's a football match or a public execution in the football stadium. And I tried to film these executions and then decided I'll get an interview with the judge, the Taliban judge in charge of it. And he's called Qisas, Public Retribution. So the judge in charge, I think up to 6,000 Afghans have been killed, not all in this stadium. And he was the judge in charge. So we drove to his office and he wasn't there. And so going back to the hotel, and the hotel was this old Soviet-era, Soviet-built, really horrible, brutalist concrete, but there was no electricity. It had been blown up a lot in the civil war against the Russians. That's where I was staying. Driving back at night, and there's no street lights, the driver lights up a joint. And he's driving, and my fixer next to him. My fixer says, oh, Mr. Sean, is that okay? Do you mind? And, me being the cool... I was only about 35, but I didn't want to be uncool. I went, yeah, cool, I don't mind. I'm like the liberal, cool music. Of course he could smoke. And then the fixer's having a little smoke. He says, do you want one? I had this ridiculous, it gets me in trouble. Do you want to appear uncool or a chicken or I'm not? Because I don't actually like dope. It's not really, it sends me to sleep. So I wouldn't want to take any, but I didn't want to look uncool. So I went, yeah, okay, because he said, do you not smoke? I went, of course, I was at university. Of course, I got a degree in media. I know how to. So, of course, what I didn't know, that Afghan hashish is 10 times stronger than anything you would have had in England I would have had growing up. Afghan black, it's called. So I had one little puff and two puffs, and I'm looking at the nighttime stars in the Hindu Kush. I'm like, oh my God, I am fucking out, stoned. It's so strong. I am seeing stars, but they're real, but they're just get back to this hotel, which is dark, cavernous, and the front desk guy is literally shaking. He goes, Mr. Sean, the judge in charge of Qisas is here to see you. And it's like, oh my God, the Taliban judge in charge of public executions has turned up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stoned. And I immediately get the giggles. And I look at my fixer like, oh my God, I can't do this. And for some reason, we found out he turned up, wanted to do an interview. But it's because his family from some village had turned up in Kabul. So he wanted to impress them. Look how important I am. The BBC want to interview me. I'm like, what I found so funny was that, why did you have to, he's in charge of all these executions. Why am I going to make him look more impressive to his family? But he was in this big dining room and the Taliban had set up a table. So I walk into a dining hall and it looks like the Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci. There's a long tablecloth, the judge with his flowing beard and shawls at the window. He's sort of beckoning me to come forward because he's going to grant me this interview, this important interview with his family. Like, look how big he is. And he's got his family there, but all the Taliban guards who are the really serious, and they're all like looking at me, this unbeliever, this foreigner. So I'm beckoned forward, and of course I'm told no cameras. So it's like, it was completely pointless interview, and I sit there. It's just to impress his family. And he says, well, no camera, but I will now explain, being a wise judge, the problems in the Middle East and in the world in general. And being Afghan, they like sort of using metaphors, and they're taught this in the madrasa. So he says, let me educate you what's wrong about the Jews and the Muslims. And he picks up from the table the salt cellar. He says, these are the Jews. And he picks up the pepper, and these are the Muslims. And then he starts this long lecture on the problem, but he's moving around the salt, being stoned. I'm like, oh, fuck. I get very confused. I forget it's the salt cellar of the Jews, or the pepper, the Muslims, or the Jews. And so I have no idea about this lecture about Israel, Afghanistan, because like, oh, God, where are the swords? And I said, I'm terribly sorry, Your Honor. I don't mean to interrupt. Now, interrupting a Taliban judge is not good. I said, I'm terribly sorry to try. I forgot the Jews, the salt, or the pepper. And he's like, okay, you're fine. And he says, the salt of the Jews, picks up the salt, and picks up the pepper, the Muslims. I think, thank you very much. And he carries on talking. He moves around. It's like trying to follow one of those sort of tricks in the streets, and you're moving cups and things. And then they storm out Iraq, and I'm like, oh, God, he's got the salt. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. And as I say, I'm really sorry, I catch the eye of my fixer who's looking at me like, this guy kills people. And he's trying to tell me that second as you catch each other's eyes, if you laugh one more time, he's going to kill us. And I suddenly, it's like when you're back at school, and if the teacher says the next boy or kid who laughs is in detention, I was always that person who laughed, and I'm stoned, and I start giggling and laughing again. And now, so the Taliban, like, this guy's taking a piss, and all the guys just literally just, and because I'm stoned, I couldn't help but find, and again, the fixer looks at me, and later on he confirmed this, and at this point he did say, he said, if you laugh one more time, we're dead. Trying to hold it together. And now the judge thinks I'm taking the piss, so he agrees one more time. The salt, the Jews, puts it down. The pepper, the Muslims. But he's looking at me like, if you fucking laugh, and I'm just doing it, going, please God, don't make me laugh. And I just lost it. I couldn't remember who was doing it. Anyway, what saved my life was I ran out laughing. Loss of face is a really bad thing amongst Arabs and Afghans. It was such a loss of face for him. So they have to have a way out. And my fixer, luckily, just thought brilliantly on his feet. My poor foreign journalist is really sick. He's had to rush to the toilet. We're so sorry. So everyone just accepted that excuse, much better than the fact that I'm just laughing at him. And I was in the toilet laughing. The judge and all the Taliban put their head around the toilet going, hope you're feeling better. I'm like, thank you, Judge. Anyway, so that's how, didn't get the interview, but I got out of there alive. Yeah. The moral is, don't take drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I had a few, few close shaves in those first. I went in and out for 2 years making that film, 2 films.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. If you got anything out of this video at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of the video, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I really appreciate the support. It goes a long way on these platforms, as you guys know. Most importantly, I have some excellent interviews coming up in the future that I'm really, really excited about. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But that's it. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon.